welcome back to the channel. Welcome to our Tuesday night live broadcast. If this is your very first time joining us here on the channel, or even live on a Tuesday night, or the recording, or any of the above, welcome to the channel. If you've been with us for many videos and you've become a part of our growing tribe here on YouTube, a big old welcome back. And if you haven't, if you're like, what do you mean this growing tribe? I would like to give you a personal invite to join our growing community here on YouTube. It's super simple. Smash the like or the subscribe button over there. When you hit it, it turns from gray, it goes from red to gray. Ring the notification bell. That not only helps our channel grow and reach more people, but it also makes sure you don't miss any of our health tips, our weight loss tips, healthy recipes, or anything like that. While you're watching tonight, if you take a second, smash that like button. That would help us out greatly. And so anyway, now that we got all that stuff out of the way, it was so funny. I was watching back when I was even first thinking about starting a YouTube channel. Like, I don't know, one of the things they tell you is, hey, you've got to ask people to subscribe. You've got to tell people to hit the like button, because over half the people that watch your videos just don't do it, but they still come back and watch videos. So I was like, oh, yeah. I was one of those people. I would go back to a channel and it wouldn't be until I would hear them say, subscribe, ring the bell, hit the like button. I was like, oh, I could do all those things. I like you. I want to be notified, and it helps the channel. So anyway, just a little side note there. All right. So tonight we are going to be talking about morbidly obese to fit. Morbidly obese to fit. Because that's exactly what I did. I went from topping the scale at 288 pounds, busting out of a size 22, down to a fit, healthy, trim size 2, losing 161 pounds in 13 months. So just over a year, I completely transformed not only my body, but my life. Like, nothing in my life looks the same as it did. And so often people will see my before and afters and they'll say, well, would you do it again? Was it hard? Here's what I will tell you. It was never as hard as I thought it was going to be. As a morbidly obese woman, me watching somebody who was fit, me looking at somebody who was fit, somebody who was healthy, somebody who was trim, somebody that didn't wear Spanx underneath everything, seemed like Mount Everest. Like, here was me, and they were like, whoosh, off the charts. See, you can't even see my hand up here because it's off the screen. That's what my goal seemed like to me. Off the screen, couldn't see it, didn't even know it was attainable. And so what I want to talk to you today about one of the biggest things that I had to do to make that transformation, to go from morbidly obese, not fit, not healthy, not trim, like literally walking around. And it wasn't until, my husband, he used to be a registered nurse before he became an entrepreneur. And one of the things he said one time, we had known a lady who passed away, and she had a lot of health problems, and she had a lot of health problems primarily because of her weight. And just in conversation, it wasn't directed at me. He said, yeah, because my husband didn't know what I weigh. We never discussed my weight. He just off the cuff one day said, yeah, you don't see a lot of 300 people walking around over 50. And I was at 288 pounds. So I might as well have been 300. I wasn't far from it. And I just remember thinking, yeah, freaking A, you're right. Like, holy crap, you don't. So then I started paying attention. And most of the people you see that are wise in age, that have matured in age, that are living a healthy, active life, they don't have a weight struggle. Why? Because weight is the biggest contributing factor to every known disease pretty much on the planet. I'm sure there's one maybe that weight doesn't contribute to, but I don't know of it off the top of my head. So anyway, so how did I go from being morbidly obese to fit? How did I go from hating fitness, like literally believing that God made those people that loved fitness, those people that are walking around always wearing their workout clothes, they just always seem to be like, super sweat Barbie. They're like, come on, girlfriend, you're only a workout away from a good mood, and you're just like, you want to slug that hussy, you're just like, bam. Oh, yeah, I totally, the chicks skipping through the airport with their little pre-measured coolers, yeah, and their little food. I just was like, eat a cheeseburger. Like, what's the deal? Get a Dunkin' Donut. Like, seriously, life's too short for all this nonsense. And I severely judged those people. I've since repented. I've since become one of those people that does all those things. I would have never thunk. But anyway, so how did I get there? How did I cross over from failing to succeeding? And so tonight I want to talk to you about something, and I don't talk about this a lot, but it's important. And most of the time I talk about this with my personal clients that I mentor, that I work with through our boot camps and through our transformation challenges and all of that, which we do have on a monthly basis. We actually have one coming up. I will put the link to that in the comments. We have a 28-day boot camp coming up. I think it's starting in like a week. And it's 28 days. We combine fitness with nutrition. But anyway, I'll put the link in the comments. Click on the link, fill it out. I'll send you all the details and all of that jazz, all of that nonsense, all of that stuff. All right. So you ready? Are you ready to hear one of my biggest secrets to success and weight loss? I know it's going to be so simple that when I tell you, you're going to be like, come on, Carmen. Because so many times people are like, it's got to be like, it has to be like all these hard steps. I'll tell you, no, it wasn't. Here's one of the biggest things. So for a very long time, I saw myself as an overweight person. I identified as an overweight person. I identified as morbidly obese. I saw myself as a size 22. And how you see yourself is how you act. How you identify is how you act. It's how you behave. How you see yourself is you'll form your habits according to that. You'll behave like that. You hang out with people that also seem to be like that. And so what I will tell you is one of the first things that I had to change, and one of the biggest things I had to change from going from morbidly obese to fit, was I had to start seeing myself as a fit person. I had to start seeing myself as the person I wanted to become versus the person I was. I had to start seeing myself as the person I wanted to be instead of the person I was. I had to start acting, walking, and talking like the person I wanted to become. Now, here's what I will tell you, because I don't want someone to misinterpret what I'm saying. What I didn't say was that I needed to hate the person I was in order to become the person I wanted to be. You will never hate your way out of your body. You will never hate your way to the person you want to become. You just won't do that. Disliking and hating where you're at isn't going to get you to where you want to be. Okay? So let me just make that clear so that no one mishears what I'm saying. So let's talk about this for a second. Let me explain. So when I was 288 pounds, I was a morbidly obese person. I thought like a morbidly obese person. I behaved like a morbidly obese person. I ate like a morbidly obese person. My activity was like a morbidly obese person. Everything in my habits were morbidly obese. And how do you know what your habits are? Well, look at your backside. Look at your current size, and that'll tell you what your habits are. Because first we form our habits, and then our habits form us. And so I remember getting a vision, and we're not going to fully talk about vision tonight. We've got a lot of videos here on the channel. I'll link one down below where we actually talked about vision and how to get a vision and how to cultivate the vision and how to come up with your vision. But I remember getting this vision, and it was like, okay, like my goal was to be 130 pounds, to lose 161 pounds, or to lose 100 math in public, not my specialty, 158 pounds and get down to 130 pounds. That was my goal. My goal was to land somewhere between 125 and 130 based on what the vision I came up with. And so then it was like, okay, well, let's just say I actually get to this magical goal. Let's just say that I actually can scale this freaking mountain and go from 288 pounds all the way down to 125, 130 pounds. What would that person dress like? What would that person wear? What would that person wear on a date? What bathing suit would that person wear on a beach? What bathing suit would that person wear on a husband and wife private beach together? What outfits would I wear on date night? What outfits would I wear if I was going to go hiking on a boat, on a catamaran? If I was walking around the house, like what would I wear? Because when I imagine myself in my head, I imagine myself as this fit person. I imagine myself as a person that had a butt and a waist and abs and quads, and like if failure wasn't an option and I was dreaming big, that's what I saw. I saw a person that was fit, somebody that was healthy, somebody that was strong, somebody that getting on a airplane could actually lift my suitcase above my head. And yeah, great if my husband's there to help me, but I didn't need his help. Are you with me? I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be a strong wife, a strong mother, a strong human being. And so what would that strong person wear? I had never thought about that. I didn't allow myself to think about that. What would that person wear on her wedding? What would she wear on her wedding day? Because my wedding day, I was morbidly obese. My wedding day, my wedding dress was a size 24. Nothing tight, nothing like I had envisioned when I was a little girl. But what would it look like if I was this person that I was becoming? Not the person I was, but the person I was going to become. What would that look like? What would I wear to Christmas parties? What would I wear to somebody else's wedding? What would I wear on vacation? And I can remember when I first started my very first Pinterest board, and it was a private board, and it was Carmen's skinny clothes. And back then I wanted to be skinny. I'd never been skinny in my whole entire adult life. And so, my goal then wasn't to be healthy. It was to be skinny. I just wanted someone to call me skinny. I had never heard those words come out of somebody else's mouth describing me. And so I desperately wanted to be skinny. And so I created a Pinterest board that said Carmen's skinny clothes. And I started picking out what I was going to wear when I got to my goal. The next thing is like, okay, so this fit Carmen, this healthy Carmen, like what kind of activities does she do? Like, how does she walk? How does she talk? What does she do in her spare time? Well, that Carmen, she goes and she plays with her kids. She takes her kids to the playground and goes down the slides because she's not afraid of getting stuck. She takes her kids to Six Flags and they ride roller coasters together with their arms up and they scream. She takes her kids on walks and hikes. She goes to the park and she bikes with her kids. She goes on horseback rides with her husband. And so it was like, what activities? And, it was so weird because so many of those things I couldn't do as a morbidly obese woman. I couldn't go kayaking. I couldn't go on roller coasters. I got kicked off roller coasters. I couldn't shop in a regular person's store. And so when I started to not think about where I was, but where I was going. And what would the person that I was going to become, where would they shop? What would they buy? What would they wear? What activities would they do? What would we do on date night? And all of a sudden, for the first time in my adult life, I had dreamt about a lot of things. I had dreamt about business. I had dreamt about a hot, passionate, sexy marriage. I had dreamt about being a good mom. But I never allowed my mind to go to the places of what it would actually look like to be healthy, to be skinny, to be fit and trim. Because in my mind, it had always been my Achilles heel. It had always been the one area that I tried so hard and failed at ridiculously. And so in my mind, if I actually went there and it didn't happen, well, of course I would be letting myself down. The truth is I was already let down. The truth is I was already dying inside because I wanted to be there and I wasn't. So long before I got to a size 2, I had to start seeing myself there. I can remember, my husband's like, so what does that look like to you? I was showing him the clothes I wanted to wear and the bathing suits and the dresses. And I said, babe, I want to be this hot blonde in a bikini running down the beach. And I had messed around with blonde hair. I always had this secret thing where I wanted to be blonde. And for years, I was platinum after I lost weight, platinum blonde. I loved it so much. I would be like, God, why didn't you make me blonde? This looks so good. And then And then my hair all got fried and over half of it broke off right up here at the root line. It was amazing. And it's taken me, gosh, 1.5 to 2 years to grow it back so that, I finally have hair again. And this is my natural color. But anyway, my goal was to be this hot blonde in a bikini running down the beach, because morbidly obese people, first off, at least this morbidly obese woman didn't wear a bikini. I didn't even take my cover up at the beach, and I certainly didn't run on the beach, because like when you're overweight, obese, and morbidly obese and you run, everything jiggles. So you just didn't do that, right? And so I was like, okay, I'd be this hot blonde running on a beach in my bikini. Remember back in the Baywatch days? Listen, your vision doesn't have to be noble. It's just got to motivate you. And so I began to see myself as this person. I began to act as if. So what would this fit person do? Well, she would work out every day. She would eat healthy. Well, what kind of foods would she eat? Well, during the week, she would eat lean proteins and vegetables, and she would, have a balanced diet. She wouldn't be one of those extreme people. She'd be balanced. She could still have carbs and still have sugar and still have her favorite foods. She'd have balance in her life so that this weight loss was sustainable. So I literally created what I wanted. I literally created, here's what this person would be. This person would still go on date nights and get French fries. This person would still go on a cruise and meet up with their friends at the midnight pizza buffet. But then Monday through Friday, she would rein it in and be good. And so I literally created this person that I was going to become inside of my mind. What I would wear, how I would dress, where I would shop, what kind of activities I would do with my kids. And you want to know what? These were all I'd have to try very hard to create this person. Guess where all these things were coming from? They were coming from inner desires that were in me the entire time that I had shoved down and shut up and didn't allow to have a voice. Convincing myself that I was okay with the weight, that it really didn't bother me that much, that it really didn't affect me that much. BS. Remember that game BS? B freaking S. If you're sitting there right now listening to this and you have a weight issue and you're watching this, and you've tried to convince yourself that you're okay with it and that you don't care and that it doesn't affect you, that's bull honky. You can go try to convince somebody else of that, but you're not going to convince me of that. Because I know the burden of weight. And I know the tears, the unconfidence, the low energy, the, not feeling comfortable and confident in your own skin that comes with having a weight issue. And I know the freedom of getting on the other side of it. And so what I'm going to tell you is if you want to change where you're at, you've got to start seeing yourself as the person you're becoming. Fit, healthy Carmen, how did she act and eat when I went to a party? Did she eat it all because there was going to be no more pecan pie next year? Did she secretly eat and shove wrappers to the bottom of the trash can? Did she feel the need to go through the drive-thru? No, she didn't. She took an apple with her for a snack because, she thought she might get hungry. And, the new Carmen, she was kind of a planner. And so she took an apple with her. She had those dang carrot sticks. When she went traveling, she actually took a sleeve of rice cakes and protein bars so she'd have food for the airport. So when she got to where she was going, all her clothes fit her and she didn't feel bloated. Yeah, that's what that chick did. And so I started creating this person. Once I created what that person looked like, I started doing it. See, long before, this person you see sitting in front of you is not morbidly obese. Today, I'm a fit and healthy mom and wife, and I'm a size 2. But the truth was, I became that in my mind long before my body became that. I became that in here before this caught up. So when I was at 250 pounds, I didn't see myself as a 250 pounder. I saw myself as that fit, healthy mother and wife that I was becoming. I saw myself as somebody, a mom in there playing with my kids, going on roller coasters, going down the slide, not as the mom on the sidelines that I had been. I saw myself as the wife who wasn't ashamed to prance around our bedroom with lingerie on. I saw myself as the wife who didn't have to ashamedly come upstairs after our date to peel off my Spanx so that my husband wouldn't see them. And when you change the way you see yourself, when you start to change your identity, when you no longer identify as that morbidly obese, when I no longer identified as that morbidly obese woman, when I no longer identified as the biggest person in the room, when I started identifying with fit, healthy Carmen instead of overweight Carmen, my behavior started to change. My habits started to change. Because the way we see ourselves matters. If you see yourself and you identify with overweight, imagine, it's like if you see yourself as overweight, but you're trying to get skinny. Do you see the problem? If you see yourself here, but you're trying to get here, no, you behave. Your behavior lines up with how you see yourself. Your behavior lines up with what your brain thinks. And your brain, sorry, I had like this little tickle. Your brain can't tell the difference between a truth and a lie. Your brain only knows what you tell it. That's the truth. Isn't that trippy to think about? Your brain cannot tell the difference in truth and a lie. It only knows what you tell it. And so how do you see yourself? How do you identify? How did I cross over? How did I go from struggling and striving and floundering around like a fish out of water, flipping and flopping and just riding the struggle bus all the time, to succeeding wildly? How did I go from weight loss being the hardest thing in my life, the one area that no matter what I did, I just couldn't conquer it, to succeeding wildly? Easier than it had ever been. Simpler than it had ever been. I changed the way I saw myself. I changed my identity. I changed my behavior. And when that happened, I'm going to tell you what, it became easier than it had ever been. So how do you see yourself? If failure wasn't an option and you were dreaming big, not little, but big. I'm talking about Disney World dreams. I'm talking about, I think the best way to say it is if failure wasn't an option. If you weren't afraid of failing and you weren't afraid of repeating your past failures, what would you look like? What would you wear? Where would you go on vacation? What would you do on your date nights? When you see yourself as where you're going in here, this is the hardest thing to convince. This is the hardest thing to change. When I saw myself as a size 2, when I saw myself as a fit, healthy Carmen, my body had no choice but to catch up. And it did. In 13 freaking months, craziness happened. My body transformed in ways that I never even could have imagined. But any weight loss transformation that's going to last has to start in here. This is the most powerful muscle on your body. This is the most powerful muscle you can work on, is what's right here in between your 2 ears. And when you change what's in here, the rest is history. And so this is one of those topics that, we talk about inside of some of our coaching programs. And it's one of those, some things are taught and some things are caught. And my prayer before I did this live tonight was that if there was just one person that watched that caught this, if there was just one person that said, oh my goodness, I have been, and so here's the deal. I just want to give you this one last example before we end. So when I started losing weight and I saw that people started treating me differently as I lost the weight, I would start to get offended. I would start to be like, well, I'm getting all this skinny favor and they're treating me different. The only reason I would have been upset about that is because I was still identifying. I was defending old Carmen. I was defending morbidly obese Carmen. Versus if I'm walking and talking and thinking like the new Carmen, the fit and healthy Carmen, the trim Carmen, not the defensive Carmen. See, the old me at 288 pounds that saw myself as morbidly obese wanted to defend my choices, defend my actions, defend my habits. Because I was identifying as that. So if you find yourself in situations where you're getting offended by what people have said or done, it's because you're still identifying there. I used to cut out the tags out of my clothing because I still identified as the morbidly obese check. I was protecting the morbidly obese check. Instead of just owning it and saying, yep, that's where I was, but here's where I'm going. And so if you catch this and you leave this video and you actually start thinking about what you're thinking about, and you actually start thinking about, wow, yeah, how do I see myself? How do I act? Am I acting like the person I am, or am I acting like the person I want to become? I literally could talk to you about this for hours. There's so many examples. I don't want to get into all them because I don't want to make it too long. So I'm going to end with this. Whatever desires you have in your heart for your body, for your health, they were put there for a reason. If you have a desire to wear a bikini, that's not vain. It is what the motivation that you need to get. That was one of mine. One of my motivations was wearing a bikini. Again, it doesn't have to be noble. Your why doesn't have to be noble. It just has to motivate you. And so if you have those health visions inside of you, if you have those health goals inside of you, if you have those longings to shop in a regular store, the longing to go skydiving, the longing to wear a sexy wedding dress, the longing to run a 5K, a 10K, whatever it is. If you have any of those goals related to your appearance, your health, whatever it is, a longing to be the very best mother that you can be, they were put there for a reason. And so, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and like I said, I'll link some of those other videos I talked about down in the comments. Make sure to check those out. And thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. Bye.